All right. What is up? We're live. What's up, Andrew?
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, good morning, good morning. So, topic today, it's going to kind of segue into a story that you wanted to share that you kind of tripped over at the bank the other day, but it essentially exemplifies the lack of education with credit spending and budgeting. I'll just throw it over to you. I mean, this doesn't need to be a huge long cast and breakdown, but what's up? Like, what's going on with budgeting, spending, and money, for the masses these days? And what did you trip across?
Right. So essentially, I'm going to lead to the story that I encountered a few days ago when I was running a payment for a client at the bank. But essentially, the reason why I wanted to lead to that story is because there's still, and there probably will always be, a lack of understanding and knowledge of the credit and budgeting world. I believe we've done a podcast or a cast about this quite some time ago about how lack of education is a factor towards how people are unwilling or unable to understand the basic concepts of credit and spending. And that's why they're always using credit cards to get by, and why they're unable to get themselves out of debt is because they're just not familiar with the processes. And that's a lack of the educational system. We don't have, and we've never had, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, a curriculum where you are taught how to budget, how to spend money, and how to balance your income versus expenses. I'm not sure about yourself, Richard. Can you explain? Can you share any experience you've had with that in the schooling system?
Well, they don't teach you anything in the school system about managing money when I was in it. I don't know what they teach you today. I know there was a push by the government, and they use Gail Vass Oxlade as like the go-to poster girl to, be like the rah 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 front of it all. A few years ago, maybe it was about 10 or 12 years ago, when I was still running the business. But there was a lot of, oh, we have to educate and we have to create financial literacy. But then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they put it in the hands of nonprofit credit counselors, which was a little bizarre to me because they're in bed with the banks and credit card companies, and they get compensated to get money back to them to a fairly high degree. So, I mean, there's no independent financial literacy course for people that I'm aware of. I mean, there's some books out there. I know that Dave Ramsey has a huge following in the US. That's not us. We don't like to sugarcoat and, fluff up people. We just kind of get right to the cold, hard truth of what things are. But what did you see in the bank the other day? Like, what ended up happening?
So I was obviously, I'm not going to name the name of the bank or any specifics, but I was at a bank running a payment for a client in terms of a settlement that was reached and established, and we were paying the settlement on behalf of the client. And while I was waiting, there was a customer at the bank talking to the teller about how he was sold a credit card product from the bank recently at 0% interest, and here's the kicker, and no payments for 1 year. So they were going to allow you to get this credit card, do a balance transfer, or use purchases on the credit card, and you don't have to pay it for a year at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was there talking to the teller saying this is what he was sold. And I was standing there thinking to myself, this is highly improbable. I cannot see any way in which a credit card company will allow you to not make a payment on the purchases you've made, or at least the minimum payments requirement on the credit card for the 12-month period that this individual was talking about. I think he misinterpreted the 0% interest rate as, well, zero means zero, meaning I don't have to make any payments on it. And the reason why I'm bringing this as the example is because he was illiterate in terms of technology. He was an older individual, but he wasn't an older individual in terms of like the pension years. He was probably in his mid 50s. But he did say he was on a disability. He wasn't working. And when they discussed with him how he should email the representative at the bank to make an appointment, he said, I don't know how to use email. So it was an individual that doesn't have a lot of experience with technology. He doesn't have a lot of experience with the cycle, but he was under the belief.
Was it a credit card product, like a
Yes,
Visa, MasterCard?
Yeah, it was a credit card product from the bank, and he was told it was going to be 0% and no.
What did the banker
payments.
tell them?
Well, the banker that was there, the teller said that you need to make an appointment to talk to the representative you spoke to here at the bank, and the representative was not there present at the day. So that's why they said you either have to call to make an appointment or email to get the appointment. He said, I don't know how to email. I don't use email. So he said, okay, you need to call and make an appointment. He goes, well, can I call her today? He's like, well, she's not in today. I just told you she's not in today. So if you call her, you're going to get her voicemail, and then you won't be able to make an appointment. So you'll have to call her tomorrow to schedule your appointment. But it was just when I was standing there, I thought to myself, how would you even believe a banking institution will allow you to spend their money and not repay at least a minimum payment requirement on the credit card statement, as if the individual has never had any experience?
I'll tell you how. I mean, I'll step in and be the devil's advocate, because I mean, we've heard radio ads and seen TV ads. I mean, I don't have cable anymore, and I rarely listen to the radio, but I'm sure they're still out there, and they like to run them, especially around the holiday seasons, for Black Friday and Boxing Day and stuff like that. And essentially, the narrative is something like, it's a don't pay a cent event, no interest, no payments for 1 full year. Come and pick up all your free shit, insert, whatever that is, and bring it home, and you won't have to make any installment payments for a year. We'll defer interest, we'll defer your payments, and then you just resume from that point on. I'm sure, like, it's not that common for credit cards or credit card products to offer zero interest and no payments for 1 year. Maybe zero interest, like a low interest rate for a 6-month or a 12-month introductory period, but you still have to make your installments on it. But the problem is that the marketing narratives that credit card companies are allowed to sell, the banks are allowed to sell, you have a lot more money than you actually think. So sign over here because you're entitled to insert, offer for free shit. And then they go and take it hook, line, and sinker. And that's how they get, people enslaved to debt on the merry-go-round of debt.
But yeah,
maybe there's an opportunity here for us to create a course, man, like a financial literacy course. Honestly, dude, it still shocks me to this day that there's this many uninformed people when it comes to basic financial literacy.
I agree. And that's why we've done that broadcast previously about how there's a lack of education, and that's where it stems from. That's where it begins. Like, if an individual is, 13 and starting high school, or 14 and starting high school, and there's at least 1 or 2 semesters on the basics of banking, budgeting, credit, then there'd be a little bit less, I want to choose my word wisely here, but there'd be a lot less silliness with, how to spend the money and what kind of repercussions might be if you are spending the money. It boggled my mind when I was at that bank the other day, and I heard this guy say, I was told I don't have to make a payment on this for a whole year. And I thought to myself, I don't know what planet you're from. Obviously, I work in the industry, so I'm obviously quite familiar and knowledgeable with this, but I don't know what
debt did he have.
They didn't talk about numbers. I didn't hear any numbers.
Should have passed him your card on the side.
I was thinking to myself, you know what? But at the end of the day, we really don't want clients that are not familiar with the basics. Like, you need to know at least the basics to be able to succeed with our program. Otherwise, it just won't work out. Like, we've got clients that sometimes they don't know what's going on, and it's very difficult for us to communicate what needs to be communicated when they're not at the minimum level of savviness when it comes to the credit industry. Yeah. And it's a shame, because it's not difficult to throw it into the curriculum. It's not difficult to throw in 1 or 2 courses to someone who's got some basic understanding, which is high school level, 13, 14, 15 onwards, of how to use, banking, how to use your money, how to spend it, how to budget it, and how to ensure that you don't go down the drain when you're older in life.
It's not that complicated. And, before we wrap up, I'll say this. It's as simple as make more money than what you spend, save for a rainy day, have a rainy day fund. I don't care if it's 6 months, 12 months, 5 years of living expenses. Have money set aside for an emergency. Don't trust marketers, credit card companies, and banks when it comes to their offers. That would be the third one. And fourth is do your own due diligence and clarify. Hire independent sources and seek independent sources for valid information on the accuracy of the promises being made. See, the problem is that banks and creditors need people enslaved to debt. Their entire business model is built on collecting interest, and the easiest people to collect interest from are from those that are uninformed, uneducated, or even unwilling to, open up their mind to other ideas beyond just the basic compliant, entitled sort of mindset that the masses, seem to have today. They've got to unplug from the comforting lies, and it's in a lot of different areas of life that people need to understand that banks don't care about your, financial well-being. They don't care about, your, your future and your retirement. They care about your profit margins. I know from my own experience as an insider. And I've got a number of contacts that have worked in banks and financial institutions, and they have different names for these people at the bank, whether it's account managers or mortgage investment advisors or blah blah blah. But they're all under strict quotas and a requirement to sell products to just about everybody at any opportunity. And whether it's a sign up for this credit card insurance policy for only $2.99 a month in case you lose your job, we'll make your minimum payments for 6 months. That's a scam. We've talked about that before. To, insert the next narrative, you got to start asking questions like, why are they giving this to me? Like, why does this sound so awesome? Google is your friend. Like, you have access to more information than the president of the United States did in the 1970s or 80s in your hand. Google it, find out, do some digging. Anyway, maybe one day we'll put together a financial literacy course like 101. If that's something that sounds interesting to you guys, leave a comment below. Did you want to say anything else before we wrap up?
No, that's all. I just wanted to share my experience there. I was a little bit baffled and bemused as to how that transpired and what this individual believed was the case. And I'm sure he's not the only one. Like I see a lot of weird things when I go to the bank to make payments for clients, because like I said, I just do this on a daily basis and I know what's going on. And when I hear stories or when I hear people talking, it's like, oh my God, I cannot understand how this can be the case. It's frightening. It really is frightening.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap it up on that note. We'll save it. Maybe we'll save a follow-up on this, for a future episode. But we're back every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Real quick, let's close off by shouting out on the banner. So if you've got $15,000 or more of unsecured debt, so that's specifically credit card debt, loans, stuff like that. So if this guy at the bank had that amount, we could actually have given him a hand. But if what you're doing isn't working out, meaning you're throwing money at the problem and you're not seeing the balance come down, go to totaldebtfreedom.ca, fill out the form, and then after you fill out the form, schedule in a call with a representative to have a conversation about how it all works. If the company's not the right fit, they'll send you off in a better direction. And, either way, we're going to get you sorted out. See you guys next Saturday. Andrew, we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah. Have a good weekend, everyone.
All right, guys. Have an awesome one.